Ooh, that looks tasty. Welcome, folks. Stay the Hungry Gamer is back with another game review, and today we are talking about Dragon Prince Battlecharged from Brother Wise Games. Now, what this game is it is a skirmish game using the characters from the popular Netflix series, The Dragon Prince, and one that I'm not ashamed to say I've watched all of it so far. I'm very excited for whatever comes next. It's a pretty darn cool show if you haven't checked it out. And as I mentioned, what this game is it is a skirmish game, and I only have two characters set out here right now. I have Ezrin here, and hopefully you can see that a little bit. It's always hard to see minis if they're not painted. And Janai here as well. Now, in general, you'll be playing small teams and you'll be doing a skirmish back and forth trying to knock each other out. And by knocking each other out, you'll get victory points, and whoever hits the set number of victory points first will win the skirmish. Now, if you are not interested in how this game is played and just want to jump into my final thoughts, then you want to go to the timestamp on the screen right now. For those of us still here, let's quickly talk about how this game is going to work. As I said, you'll have small teams. Again, I only have two of them out here just because it's all we need to have an understanding of how you're going to play. And the core of the game is, on your turn, you're going to be able to play a single move card, like so, which in this case is going to allow her to move 3 spaces, and a single attack card, which would be something like this here. And you'll see this has a range of 1 and does 3 damage. And then you'll see there's specific bonuses that go with each of the different characters. This one, if you played the card Heat Being, like this before you played that, you would get a bonus to it. In addition to that, you can play any number of react cards, something like this, or technique cards, something like that, on your turn. What matters is this number up here. Each of the cards are going to tell you exactly what it does down here, but up here it's going to tell you how much energy that you need. And each character starts with a set number of charge. In this case, Janai starts with 4. So if I wanted to play Heat Being, I would tick it down to 3, and then that would allow me to play that particular card. Now, I'm going to pause here and talk about how you get your charge back. There are some cards that give you charge when you play them, but usually you're going to be looking at your card, and each different character has a different way of gaining their charge back. So in this case, at the end of Janai's turn, if she did not move, she's going to charge up 3. In this case, we'll be back to her maximum of 5. You'll also note that she has 6 health, and I usually would put these out as they get damaged, though technically the game does say that you should have all 6 on your card and then take them away. It doesn't really matter. Now, let's go ahead. Now, the other thing that we need to talk about, yes, that is true. We are pretty much at the end of the explanation here, is how attacks and defense actually works. So as I said, let us assume that Janai's played this card right here to do 1 damage, or excuse me, to do 3 damage at a range of 1 to Ezrin here. Now there is no rolling to hit, it's simply you automatically are hitting. Unless your opponent is able to play react cards that will give them blocks greater than the number of boosts that your attack has. So in this case, we'll just pretend that this card here had already been played. You'll see there is a single boost, and right now Ezrin has a single block. So right now, Janai is hitting for 3 damage. However, we could pretend that on his turn, Ezrin had played this ongoing card and put bait out, and you'll see I can discard this card to get another block. Now, Ezrin has 2 blocks to only 1 boost, and assuming that Janai can't play another boost, then Ezrin would have blocked the attack. Had Ezrin failed to block the attack, then he would take 3 damage and be on his way to being knocked out. Then once your turn is done, you'll draw back up to your hand size, and then the active player moves around, and then there will be a new character that gets to activate, and so on and so on. When a character is eventually knocked out, you tip them over like so, and they'll stand back up on their turn, and the player that knocked them out gets a victory marker. And that's it. You're going to play until one player gets the required victory marks, and then that'll be the end of the game. What I will point out is there are 8 different characters that you're able to mix and match as you're playing through the game, and in addition, there is a small expansion you can get that will give you a second style of combat for Callum, which if you're familiar with the story, you know that he is kind of a lightning sky wizard, but he had a dalliance with dark magic, so you can actually play him as a dark wizard as well if you would like. But that's it. That's how this game works. So, what do I like about this game? The first thing I'm going to say is there is a lot of gameplay in a relatively small box. There are, with just the characters in the box, there's a whole bunch of variety in it. The combinations of different characters you can put together on your team, your faction, whatever you want to call it, are huge. And they do all play quite differently. Far more differently than you think they will when you first look at the cards that each one of them has. Along with that, each of the different boards you can play on really does lend itself to a different feel for each individual game that you play through. I also enjoy the way that the game has a bit of a resource management vibe to it, and in that I mean you're always really paying close attention to that power die as you're ticking it up and ticking it down. And it means that you kind of have to start planning a little bit ahead because each character is going to recharge their power in a different way. And so you're going to be playing and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to maybe kind of move myself away, maybe get a little distance so I can kind of charge myself up a little because maybe my character is when they don't attack, they get some more power. Or maybe it's when they do something else. And so I'm going to get a little bit closer to try to make that happen so I can charge up for this really big round. And I think that is quite fun. I also appreciate that it's a small board. So it means you're going to be mixing it up really quickly. And I think for a game of this rules level, which is pretty light as far as a skirmish game goes, I think that's what you want because you can get in, you're going to be out, and the game's going to be done. This is not a game that you want to be playing for 90 minutes or whatever. You want it to be done in under an hour. And in general, this game is going to be done in well under an hour. Next thing I'll say is I do like the minis. I think they look pretty darn good. I think, well, the artwork's, I guess, coming from the TV show, which I like the IP. I really enjoyed this series. I think there's one more season coming. I can't wait to see it myself. And I think the miniatures and the look of the cards and the abilities that the characters have, I think, are true to the characters. I can see them, if they're an all-out fight, these are the types of things that they would do, and I think that is well done as well. So what are my quibbles with the game? And really, I only have one major quibble, and then one minor one. I'll start with the minor one first. My minor one is, this is not a deep skirmish game. This is a fast, light, slam your characters together. You know, there is strategy to it, but slam them together, play your game, and you're done. This is not a deep, heavy, thinky, crunchy game. Now, that doesn't bother me, but I know a lot of people who like skirmish miniatures games, like they want some grit and some crunch. And so this is not that game. This is a lighter one. This is almost one that you play in between those other crunchy games. You play your big, heavy, crunchy game, then you have your little palate cleanser, a little battle of Dragon Prince, then you go back to it. But my only major quibble with the game is, as far as the IP goes, I don't get it. I don't. It just, some of the combinations of characters, why are they fighting each other? Now that's a little easier to believe because in some of the earlier seasons, you know, some characters that they do fight each other and it does make sense, different factions. But by the end, it's pretty much, or at least by the end of the seasons I've seen, it's pretty broken down to this side versus this side. But these can all mix. And so that doesn't really make sense as far as the show goes. Now that said, that is both a big quibble and a minor quibble. Maybe you don't care, you're just looking for a light, quick skirmish game. If so, here you go, you got it. But if you're looking for something that's going to feel like you are playing the TV show, this is not it. Now, they're going to fight in ways that make sense, and it is cool to kind of imagine that Ezran would be out there fighting like this because he doesn't do a lot of fighting as a little kid, but it is cool to kind of imagine those things and play with that. So that does feel true to who these characters are, but none of the, I would say, the intrigue behind the show, none of the adventure in the show is there. None of this kind of army raising, all those things that I would think might be in that kind of game. It doesn't exist. So that is either good or bad, depending on your perspective and what you're looking for. I do think it looks great. It looks like Dragon Prince. They play like I imagine they're going to fight. Some of you have seen how they fight, and it does really come together like that. But with all that said, if you like the Dragon Prince IP and you like the characters, and you are looking for a light skirmish game, then this is one that you are going to enjoy. Again, it's very light, but it is fun. So there you have it, folks. That is Dragon Prince Battlecharged. As always, if I made any mistakes in the rules overview, please let me know in the comments with the timestamp so I can get that into the Klingon subtitles. As always, if you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.